Minneapolis has 17 Fortune 500 companies, the #2 ranked bike city in the country, and a James Beard award-winning food scene, but you've probably never heard of any of that in the news. I'm a local realtor here who's helped over 150 plus families find homes in this market, and today I'll show you what it's actually like to live here right now, because the media is only telling you part of the story. Let's dive in. The national coverage of Minneapolis has been loud, and yeah, I get why people are outside of Minnesota are paying attention. So before we get into anything else, I want to just level with you on what's actually going on here, because you deserve the real version of this conversation. The national attention of Minneapolis is real, and some of what's been reported here is true. So it makes sense that people have concerns, and those should be taken seriously. Protests happen here, and the aftermath is still visible in certain areas. You can see it in parts of the city depending on where you are. Some businesses have left or struggled downtown, and the city has dealt with ongoing political tension that kept it in the national spotlight over the last few years and obviously the last few months. The coverage has shaped how people outside Minnesota view the city, and it's something that should be acknowledged before we move forward. Those issues are real, but they're only part of the story here. All right, so here I am just outside of Lake Bede-Makaska on a chilly Monday morning, and I want to talk about some of the facts that most people don't know about. Downtown Minneapolis saw over 200 million in new building permits in 2025, showing active rebuilding even while challenges still exist. Millions of people attended events, concerts, and sporting events downtown last year, myself included, which doesn't line up with the idea that people are avoiding the city. Commercial vacancy downtown is still higher than normal after the pandemic, and some small businesses are dealing with lower foot traffic. The Feeding Our Future federal fraud case led to 79 individuals being charged, more than 51 guilty pleas, and 7 convictions as of February 2026, with over 250 million involved. A broader federal investigation into Minnesota's Child Care Assistance Program was announced in late 2025. But stick around though for when we get to the economy later, because the job numbers here are going to shift how you see this city and the metro in a big way. All of this discussion in the media is real, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not, but what doesn't get talked about nearly enough is what everyday life in the Minneapolis and surrounding areas feels like when you're actually here. And that's what I want to show you today. The reality on the ground is way more layered than the headlines make it seem, and honestly, the best way to show you is to get out like I'm doing right now and walk through it together. So let's go. But before we move on, if you're watching this and thinking about moving to the Minneapolis area or maybe one of the surrounding suburbs, this is a really good time to reach out, because I work with people here local and relocating all the time. My contact information is in the description below. Let's get back into it. One important fact most people moving here from out of state have no idea about is that there are 13 lakes inside Minneapolis city limits, and that one detail tells you a lot about how different this place actually is from what you see in the news. So let me show you what the city is really built around. First off, parks and nature here are the backbone of this city. Minneapolis is consistently ranked among the best urban park systems in the country, with a chain of lakes, which is where I am right now walking on the path, the Mississippi Riverfront, Theodore Wirth Park, and Minnehaha Falls, all inside city limits. And next up, I'm headed to one of the coolest and most walkable districts all locals, including myself, love. Now I'm over in North Loop inside of Fragment Coffee, getting myself a little pick-me-up and warming myself up before heading back out. This is one of my go-to spots in North Loop for a coffee, and as you can see, it's super chill environment. People here are working, people here are meeting friends, and we're only about 5-ish minutes outside of downtown Minneapolis. I'm gonna enjoy this and then we'll head back outside. Now that I've got my coffee, we're outside of Fremont here, and I just wanna let you know that the North Loop district here is extremely livable and walkable, and stands out with historic warehouses here that have been turned into condos, coffee shops like the one we just visited, restaurants like Freehouse, Nolo's, Bar La Grassa, and bars like the local favorite Cuzzies that are all within walking distance. Outside of the North Loop, you also have Excelsior Boulevard in St. Louis Park, which is another very walkable corridor with a Fresh Time grocery store, gyms, bakeries, all on one street. The food scene around downtown Minneapolis and the metro is stronger than many expect. Minneapolis has produced multiple James Beard Award nominees and winners. The Hewing Hotel here in North Loop is a popular staycation spot as well, with a rooftop sauna and Tulubi restaurant down below. My wife and I love coming down and having a night there together, and many of our friends do the same. In addition, Manny's Steakhouse is also a downtown staple and has been there since the late 1980s. Breweries and coffee culture are also a major part of the city's identity. Northeast Minneapolis has dozens of tap brews like Dangerous Men and Indeed Brewing, all within biking distance in an arts-focused, community-driven neighborhood. You truly can't drive more than like 5 minutes and have another brewery to try. A lot of people will do bike tours where they will bike to many different breweries in a day and enjoy the food at some of them along the way, since some have food there on site and others will actually bring food trucks that will be in the parking lot. You can also do a brewery crawl where you can basically get bussed around to multiple breweries, which I've done as well, and is a lot of fun with friends. We finished up here now in the North Loop and are making our way to undoubtedly the most historic spot in downtown Minneapolis. All right, we are now at the Stone Arch Bridge. The culture and art scene have a strong presence here. The Stone Arch Bridge that I'm currently on connects to the Guthrie Theater along the river. And the Metro here is home to major sports teams and venues, including US Bank Stadium, Target Field, Target Center, and then Grand Casino Arena and Allianz Field over in St. Paul. If you like sports, you won't have any problem finding a sports team here to watch and get behind in Minnesota. But while I'm here, I want to break down some additional facts about Minneapolis and the Metro that most people don't know about. Minneapolis maintains 185 parks, almost 6,800 acres of parkland, and 55 miles of parkways. There are 13 lakes of at least 5 acres within city limits, and the Grand Rounds National Scenic Byway connects them on a 51-mile loop with access to miles of regional trails. The Twin Cities Marathon is usually held in October, and you run around most of those lakes and is a beautiful marathon to participate in and spectate. Minneapolis ranked number 2 among large US cities for bikeability in the 2025 People for Bikes city ratings. The city also has 89 miles of trails, 36 miles of protected bikeways, and over 140 miles of painted bike lanes with a walk score of 71 and top neighborhoods scoring between 91 and 96. 2025 James Beard Award finalists from Minneapolis include Boucheron, Bar Brava, and Kato no Misa. The Guthrie Theater includes 3 stages, including a thrust stage seating 1,100 and features a 175-foot cantilevered endless bridge over the Mississippi River. I've seen a handful of shows at the Guthrie Theater over the years and they always amaze me, and the production is extremely well done. The Walker Arts Center also draws around 700,000 visitors annually with free admission on the first Saturday of each month. Sports here alone drove over 9 million visits to downtown Minneapolis in 2025. The Minnesota Frost are back-to-back Walter Cup champions, and the Minnesota Lynx dominate the WNBA with 4 championships. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been in the playoffs multiple years in a row, and the Minnesota Wild have currently clinched their playoff spot for this year. And I'll break down why people are still choosing Minneapolis over other major cities in a bit, and the affordability piece alone is worth sticking around for. But let me finish showing you around here first. And all of that lifestyle stuff is awesome, like it really is, but it hits differently when you understand what's supporting it behind the scenes. So let's talk about the side of Minneapolis that almost never gets covered nationally. So the largest private company in the entire United States is headquartered right here in the Minneapolis Metro. And chances are you've never heard that come up in any of the national coverage. So let's take a look at what the economy here really looks like. The Metro is home to 17 Fortune 500 companies, one of the highest concentrations per capita in the United States. Best Buy is headquartered in Richfield, 3M is in Maplewood, and United Health Group is in Eden Prairie. Healthcare is the Metro's largest employer sector. The United Health Group is the 3rd largest company in the country by revenue, and several nationally ranked hospital systems are based here as well. The job market is strong and spread across healthcare, finance, retail, tech, and food and agriculture. The economy is not dependent on a single industry, which helps keep things stable. Housing demand in the Metro has remained steady as well, even as other markets have seen more volatility supported by a consistent job base and ongoing buyer activity. The cost of living here advantage compared to coastal metros with similar amenities is meaningful. Buyers are getting more value for the price point, which matters when comparing relocation options. Like I said, 17 Fortune 500 companies are based in the Twin Cities Metro. United Health Group generated $400 billion in 2024 revenue at number 3 nationally. Target is at number 41 with 106 billion in revenue, and Cargill, based in Minnetonka and Wayzata, is the largest private company in the United States at roughly 106 billion in revenue. The Metro's cost of living is about 7% below the national average, with housing costs around 18% lower than national home prices. And the Green Line extension is projected to open in 2027, has already driven 1.2 billion in new development and over 8,500 housing units along the corridor. Abbott Northwestern Hospital as well has 686 beds and a nationally ranked cardiac program. Hennepin Healthcare is a level 1 trauma center, and major healthcare companies like United Health Group, Medtronic, and Boston Scientific operate here in the Metro. And keep that cost of living number in mind, because when we get into why people are still choosing Minneapolis later on, this is gonna matter a lot, but more on that in a bit. So that's the economic layer sitting underneath everything you've been hearing. And it's a very different picture than what most people expect. But I also want to be straight with you on what the media does get right, because that matters too, and it's part of the full story. Now I'm going to level with you here because I think the honest version of this conversation is way more helpful than a highlight reel. And yeah, some of what you've seen in the news about Minneapolis is true. Some of the key points here are that 1, the fraud headlines are real and can be verifiable. The Feeding Our Future federal case had the largest COVID-19 aid fraud in U.S. history, according to prosecutors, and broader investigations in Minnesota child care assistance programs are also ongoing. There have been multiple protests over the last several years, and you can still see parts of the aftermath in certain areas of the city. ICE enforcement activity in Minneapolis has been visible, and I've personally seen enforcement vehicles and people being taken into custody. Some immigrant clients of mine have had no issues and are living normally, while others have been directly affected. Both experiences exist at the same time, and the reality sits somewhere in between. Business impact during peak enforcement periods were noticeable. For example, a home prep project I worked on had delays due to labor shortages, and other local business owners reported similar disruptions. However, here's some additional facts to know about. 79 individuals were charged in the Feeding Our Future case, with more than 51 guilty pleas and 7 convictions as of February 2026. The prosecutors say over 250 million was taken from a federal child nutrition program, and a broader federal investigation into Minnesota's child care assistance program began later last year, with total fraud across programs. And as of early March 2026, right now, some downtown small businesses reported revenue declines of up to 80% during peak enforcement periods and requested $5 million in relief from the city council. Fraud cases have led to active prosecutions and confirmed convictions, showing enforcement and accountability in BURBS. The media coverage often suggests widespread instability across the city, which does not align with the day-to-day experiences that most residents experience. Those things that they mention are real, and I'm not going to downplay them, but they're not the full picture of what it feels like to live here. So let me walk you through that side of it. All right, so right now I'm just walking on a trail in a popular suburb called Maple Grove. And I want you to pay attention to what you're not seeing, because there's no chaos, there's no tension, just a normal neighborhood trail on a normal day. And honestly, that's kind of the whole point. Minneapolis is made up of distinct neighborhoods, each with its own identity and community feel. North Loop, that we mentioned and visited earlier, is a modern urban hub. Uptown is more of the social and entertainment center. Linden Hills has that quiet small town vibe around Lake Harriet, and the surrounding suburbs have their own close-knit character. Summers here are incredible, with long days, warm weather, and the lakes and trails systems are fully active. So people are outside all the time, and the energy around the water is very community driven. Winters here are real, I'm not gonna sugarcoat that and lie to you, but the people here don't avoid them. They lean into it with things like saunas, skiing, skating on frozen lakes, and winter festivals. So it becomes part of the lifestyle. The Minnesota nice culture here is real, since there's a strong sense of community, politeness, and people showing up for each other across both the city and the suburbs. The national conversation makes Minneapolis feel chaotic, but most neighborhoods here are quiet and residential, and that contrast is something you really notice when you're actually here in person. Minneapolis has a median resident age in the early 30s, with people between 25 and 34 making up over 20% of the population. And annual snowfall averages 45 to 54 inches, with winter typically running from November through March. So activities include cross-country ski trails, lake skating maintained by the park board, the city of Lakes Loppet and Theodore Wirth Park, and the Theodore and the Great Northern Festival with 22 outdoor saunas. Summer sunsets here are around 9 p.m. near the solstice, getting some of the longest usable evenings of any major US city. The MSP International Airport is about 10 miles from both downtowns and ranked #1 among North American mega airports for traveler satisfaction by J.D. Power in 2025, making the third time in the last 4 years. And with all of that in mind, let's bring this whole thing together. I want to leave you with a clear answer to the question that we started with. You can get coastal city amenities here at a price point that coastal cities just haven't offered in a long time. And honestly, that's probably the simplest way to explain why people keep choosing the Minneapolis Metro even when the headlines get a little rough. The job market here is anchored by 17 Fortune 500 companies and a massive healthcare sector. If you're moving here for work, the opportunities are steady, diverse, and well-paying. The quality of life is hard to beat. The city has parks, lakes, trails, culture, food, sports, all of which come together in a way that's tough to match for a city this size. Affordability compared to other major metros is a real advantage. Here you're getting big city amenities at a Midwest price point, and that difference shows up quickly when you start running the numbers. Minneapolis isn't perfect, but which city is? And this video wasn't about making it seem that way, but every city has its challenges. What matters is what day-to-day life feels like for the people living here. The media focuses on moments, but residents live the day-to-day. The cost of living in Minneapolis is about 7% below the national average, with housing roughly 18% lower than national home prices compared to similar coastal markets. Western suburbs like Wayzata, Minnetonka, and Edina have the top 3 ranked public school districts in Minnesota, all with A+ ratings from niche.com. Median home prices range from the low to mid 200s in more affordable areas to the high 500s and above near Lake Minnetonka, with the metro median in the low 400s as of late 2025. The Green Line extension is expected to open in 2027 and expected to increase property values along St. Louis Park and Hopkins, creating a potential opportunity window for buyers. The presence of 17 Fortune 500 companies, like I mentioned, and a diverse job base has helped keep the local economy in the surrounding metro stable compared to markets that experience sharper downturns more regularly. Minneapolis in Minnesota isn't a city you should just write off because of the headline cycle. In my opinion, it's actually one that you should come see for yourself before you decide. And if you're seriously thinking about making a move to the Minneapolis area or one of the surrounding suburbs and you want a real breakdown of what's out there right now, reach out to me. My contact information is in the description below. I'll put together a personalized look at neighborhoods that make sense for you and your lifestyle, and we can discuss a potential game plan. And I've got a video linked right here that walks through which Minneapolis suburbs match different types of buyers, and it'll help you avoid making a move you regret. I appreciate you guys tuning into this video, and we'll see you on the next one.